morning. I am Rashonda King.
Oh, hi. I actually have your strengths today. This is exciting.
Okay. I have a question. So there are 34 strengths.
There's 34 strengths.
Should I focus or operate on the top 5, 10, 15? Like, how does it work?
Okay. So every time I work with somebody, we actually go through it one by one to see where that line is drawn for them. Because everybody is different based on the combinations of the strengths. So some people will say, look, I draw the line at 5. I just want to sit in my top 5. Other people will say, I really love working in my top 7 or my top 10 or my top 15. I get all different answers. I think the key is to figure out where you want to play and where you really enjoy sitting, and then figuring out what you want to outsource to others. So when you think about working on a team, you're going, I want to bring my best, and I want to do what I love and what I am passionate about all day long. But then I also want to empower my teammates, and I want them to do what they're best at. So where am I drawing the line where I'm saying, you get to do this? So one time I used to work at Sabre, travel technology company, and I was doing database queries. Right? Any SQL people in here? One, 1.5. I was doing SQL queries,
One
right?
that'll admit it.
And I have analytical right at number 11. So I'm really tapping into that. I also have deliberative at number 6. So it's kind of those mathematical, analytical strengths. And I just remember at one point I said, no more SQL queries for me. Someone else loves to do this. Let them do the SQL query. I want to take the output of the SQL query and make a business decision with it. And that's more of the deliberative. So I just decided I'm not going to be the analyst anymore. I had been an analyst a long time. And I said, I'm going to take what the analysts produce and sit further up in my top strengths and use it for the business, to think about the business, but not actually do databases and SQL queries and stuff like that. So we all got to kind of figure where that's at and draw the line.
Can I ask a question of the audience?
I would love that.
How many of you have taken your strengths finders already? Fabulous. How many of you just have your top 5? Okay, how many of you did all 34? Great. Okay. Just wondering.
So how come y'all didn't send me your strengths?
I posted it. It was in your box.
They didn't take you seriously, Pete. You got to get serious. Okay. So these are Don Clifton's strengths. Who's Don Clifton? Anybody know? Can you see it good? Don Clifton's the founder. He's the founder. He's the one who said, what if we focus on one another's strengths instead of our weaknesses? What does that look like? Does that do anything for the business? Does that change things? And what he found was phenomenal. It was like, oh, if we put people in a place of strength, if we put them in the environment where their strengths are getting fed, if they get to use their strengths all day long, it doesn't feel like work anymore. It's fun. And when people are having fun, they work a lot more because they're interested and they're engaged, and they end up being what? Productive, but if you absolutely love what you do and you work more and you excel, you become extremely high performing in your role. So you become there's a lot higher chance of success if you are working in a place of strength. Okay, so his strengths were significance, futuristic, individualization, focus, maximizer. So task number 1 I send you home with is learn the strengths. Because if you don't know the strengths, how are you to leverage them? Number 2, if you don't know the strengths, how do you know in the interview what the other person's strengths are on the other side? Why do I care about that? Say again? I'm listening. I haven't heard it yet. Okay, but why do how am I going to do that? We're getting closer. We're getting warmer. It's like you guys are doing this, right? So how many ways can I say one thing? Infinite ways. Exactly. So if I'm talking to an analytical person and I can assess that out the gate, I need to speak to them in an analytical way for them to even comprehend what I'm saying. If I'm speaking with someone who cares about teams and personality and are you, social and are you going to get along with the teams, I have to speak to them in a certain way so that they hear what I'm saying in the way they need to hear it in order to sell myself. Whoever said that over here. So I've got two different people that I'm interviewing with. I'm saying the same message, but I need to cater it. That's why panel interviews are extremely difficult, because you've got to know who this person is, this person is, this person is, and this person is, and you got to say things in a way that's going to resonate with all of them, where they come out all going, oh, yeah, I like that person. That's the one we need to hire. She or he cares about this, and that's what they care about. How do I get this personality information on the panel interviewers when I don't know them? I can't be like, hey, can you take an assessment? How do you get that information? We have something wonderful today that gives us this information. You can go to LinkedIn and learn a lot about, you look at their pathway, right? How did they come up through? What's their mentality? What have they done? What did they choose to do over time? Where else? I go to YouTube. What's on YouTube? Footage. And I get to see them live talking. I get to hear what they care about, the words they use, what they're focused on. And when I'm listening to that, I'm going, oh, this person cares about this, and they think this way, and they want me to hit on this. And so then when I go and speak to them, I know exactly how to approach that, or at least I get a way better sense than if I hadn't seen that video at all. Okay, so we're here to talk about leveraging your own strengths, but we're also here to talk about understanding other people so that you can be successful with other people over time. So how many strengths? 34. What are the big ones on the screen, the big words? Yeah. They're the ones that are found most often. So if you need to guess, if I need to guess who's all in the room today, I'm going to guess that there's 30% achiever, responsibility, and learner in here. Just a guess, because overall, across the world, that's what we're going to find. What about the little tiny ones? What are those? More rare. They're more rare. Command, significance, self-assurance. If you have one of those, sorry, you're a little more rare. It means people are going to misunderstand you, but it also means you have something to bring to the table uniquely that others can leverage and that you can leverage if you have something a little bit more different. Okay. There's 4 colors there. What were the 4 colors? Anyone know? I love how literal you are over here. So purple is, meaning in this case, executing. Try not to think too hard about strategic thinking. It's just thinking, okay? So executing, thinking, influencing, and relationship building. So executors execute to execute. You don't have to ask them to execute. They just love to execute. Does anyone know somebody that just executes to execute? And they make execution look easy? And you say, why are you executing so hard? And they're like, I love it, right? Get their little dopamine hits every day, doing stuff, checking things off the list. We have thinkers who just like to sit and think. And you're like, what are you thinking about? And they're like, oh, a lot, actually. I'm thinking about a lot. They think out of enjoyment. It's fun to think. What kind of person do I want to hire if I'm looking for a strategist? Someone who thinks about strategy, okay? So I want you guys to think about, with my strengths, we're all usually thinking about me pushing out. I want you to scrap that and flip it and go, the world out here, which part of it needs me? Which part of it is looking for me? Which part of the world is going, I need someone with this? So you can think about it from a strength perspective, from a background perspective, from a skill perspective. Who needs you? Some of you are like, I want to transition into another industry. Well, which industry needs to leverage the industry that you've been in? Who is that? Because they're looking for you right now. So if I'm positioning myself with, I know you're looking for this, let me tell you I have this, let me share that with you, then you're the candidate for them. Okay? We've also got our relationship builders, people who build relationships just to build them. Don't need to ask them to build a relationship. They find it very satisfying. And we have our influencers. What are these people thinking about all day long? How do I get that person to do that? How do I get them to do that? It's really fun for them to get you to do something that you would not have done otherwise. Any questions about the 4 domains? We're also going to talk about the zones. This is a cool chart. This is across 33 million people. What do you notice about this chart? What are some of the things you observe? The bars are almost equal across all of them except for high creativity. It's a little bit lower. And I don't know if that's because creativity is low across the world or because those people don't take assessments. One or the other, where my guess is. What else do you see? Where are the colors? Execution is on the operation side. It's the finishers. It's the people who get things done. What else? Where are the influencers? Up front, selling and marketing. We've got strategists up front too, all that thinking, all that green. And then the relationship builders are through the middle. These are your account managers. What if I have all 4 categories? Right? What if I have a little bit of each? Just means I need a job that allows me to influence, execute, relationship, build, and think, all 4. A little high maintenance. Can you have all 1 color in your top 5? Absolutely. So, should we look at our team today? We have a team today. I saw Christine. I saw Roshonda. Is Pete here? Yeah. Is Denise here? Oh yeah, I talked to you, Denise, sorry. I just stuck you in here. And then Robert, is he here too? Okay, oh, you're the one chiming up over here. Okay, good. So, let's just say this was my team today. How many strategists do I have on the team of 5? 4. Does everybody see that? Kind of teaching you how to read the chart here. 4 strategists out of 5 in the top 10. I also notice, if I kind of zoom out here, there's no orange yet. So I hope y'all aren't my sales team. Right? We got a little bit of sales in here. We got woo somewhere in there. We got self-assurance somewhere in there. And remember, there's other characteristics like individualization is actually really good at sales because individualization is all about psychology. So, right, so it's like, let me understand who's on the other side here so that I can cater to that personality in order to sell to them. So they're actually quite good there. Okay, so let's talk about strategic. Strategic goes like this. What if this, what if that, what if this, what if that? Well, if this, then this, then this, and that. And if this, then this, and this, and this, and this, and that. So if I'm going to get from point A to point B most efficiently, I'm going to take this path. But if this happens, I'm taking this path. And if this happens, I'm taking this path. And I actually really want this path to happen. So I'm going to clear this way, clear that, and we're going to go like this. Yes? And they do that like this. And they do it all day long. Sounds exhausting to me, right? Playing out all these scenarios all day long. For them, it's extremely fun to play out all the scenarios. 22% of the population has this as the top 5 strength. And we see that it is Pete's number 1 strength. So we'll start with Pete. Now, what's interesting about Pete's strengths here is that when you have strategic at the top, you're thinking big picture, okay? But when you have a ranger right below it, you're actually extremely tactical. So now I have a big picture strategist with a tactical operation person all in one. And a ranger also has what if thinking. I'd hate to be in your brain, by the way. what if, right? And then let me rearrange, what if this, what if that, what if that? It's like, oh, like that sounds like a lot of work to me. So the arranger is going arrange, rearrange. Let me just see what happens when I do this. Oh, this is happening. Now plug this in and let me rearrange it. And this is happening. Let me plug this in and let me rearrange it. And I'm going to arrange the most efficient ways of working, the most efficient processes and patterns and teams. And it's just constantly, it's like a flexible organization. They're really good in supply chain, logistics, and operations. Any arrangers in here? Okay, good. You guys like 30 things going on all at one time. I don't know how you keep track of all of it. Self-assurance now is very rare. We only find it 5% of the time in a person's top 5 strengths. Anyone know what self-assurance means in this context? Yeah, they are very confident in the direction and what they're doing. They have this inner compass that just tells them this is what we need to be doing and this is where we need to be going. They have no problem rolling up their sleeves and, putting in the work and working long hours. They're just very self-assured. Are you guys surprised that only 5% of the population feels this way? Self-assured? Me neither. So, let's do this. I think one of the questions that I already got out the gate this morning when I walked in was, I want to know how to leverage my strengths. I want to know how to read my profile. Like, what do I do with this? How do I read it? I want you to take your strengths and apply them to the other one. So what kind of strategy is he thinking about? Strategy of arrangements, the strategy and plan of self-assurance and confidence, the strategy and plan of learning, teaching, mastering, the strategy of achieving, delivering, and getting things done, right? And if we take arrangements, we go, what is he arranging? He's arranging strategy, the big picture. He's aligning that with how do we become more confident here and how do we have influence with how do we learn things, evolve, and teach and consult, and how do we combine that with delivery and getting things over the finish line, and so on and so forth. So we're going to do that with every single strength to really start to understand ourselves. So for example, if we combine that strategic and arranger, it says, you easily juggle a plethora of priorities. You intensely think through what-if scenarios to determine the most effective paths and alternate routes. You easily see the big picture and manage tactical operations. When a change occurs, you immediately recalibrate and align to the strategic plan. Can you guys start to hear and to think what type of role would be great for Pete? There you go, Pete. Everybody's giving you the answers here. CEO, project management, logistics, supply chain. Pete, do you want to share what you actually do?
Fetty. I'm into cybersecurity, some physical security work, chief security officer, chief information security officer, IT risk management. So hopefully that gives you an idea into my background and
so when
how I fit up with this.
When you went into cyber, was the plan always to go up towards the top or bigger picture?
Well, climbing the ladder of success, as it were, title-wise, I mean, most people don't mind it. But no, the idea was the challenges. I like the challenge. I like to be engaged. A lot of what you're showing, what shows up on the screen there, being that engaged, being able to think about it, those are the challenges that make it interesting. And you said it earlier about having to enjoy what you do. And I think that if you do that, that those opportunities just come, and you have to decide maybe, well, I have to take a crossroad. Do I want to go in through performance? Do I want to go into security? Do I want to go into development? Where do I want to go? So there are those forks in the road, but no, I didn't plan on being a C-level person. It just happened.
So Which strength up here likes the ladder? It's achiever. Why? Because they want to achieve, and then they want to achieve more, and then they want to achieve more, and they want to achieve more. Like, it's just natural for them to want to achieve more. The learner also loves continuous improvement. So the learner is going, I just want to improve, I just want to improve, I just want to improve. Which one loves problem solving? It's the strategic, all right? I want to, understand what's going on here and navigate it and figure my way through the storm on the ship, basically. Okay? Thank you, Pete. Yeah. Oop. Hey. Okay, let's go back. And get another one. So let's do Robert next. Yeah? So Robert looks very similar, doesn't he? He's got strategic arranger right at the top again. When I have 34 strengths total, if I just take top 5, like what we're looking at here, and I put them in order, how many combinations of these are there? 33 million. Every single one of you is 1 in 33 million people, at least. Unless you have self-assurance, then you're like 1 in 44 million. So if you're the only one in here bringing the strengths that you bring, plus you have your experience, you have your skills, you have your background, you're the only one, guys. So all we're trying to do is help someone else who's looking exactly for you find you. That's the hard part, is to get this person that's looking for you to find the needle in the haystack, which you are. You're all those needles in the haystack. It's a matter of helping people find you. That's what we're really trying to do here. Okay? So they look similar, and I could make a whole lot of assumptions about how these guys are the same person, and I would be completely missing the boat if I did that. Because right at number 3, he's different. He's a different person. So now, what is he strategic about? He's strategic about the arrangements, the logistics, the operation. He's also strategic about what? Ideas, innovation, creativity, non-traditional ways of thinking how to do things. So where these two guys are doing strategic arrangements is completely different, right? Because Robert should potentially be more in an innovative space where he loves the whiteboard, the abstract, the unbound. That is way more fun than some fixed, structured environment. He's also got individualization, which means I want to run teams. I want to understand the people. I want to get into their psychology and see how they're motivated. And I want to help, bring them together and make them productive. So Robert wants to run teams. He doesn't just want to strategize and influence, for example. He's also got analytical, so he's going, who, what, where, when, why, how, who, what, where, when, why, how. His brain is pretty full too, right? What if this, what if that, who, what, where, when, why, how, what if this, what if that, arrange, rearrange. There's a lot going on in there. Does this describe you pretty well? In what way have you used this in your career? Oh, you're both in tech.
Cybersecurity, and I was more like developing solutions to address customer problems and building teams to go put those solutions in place.
Gotcha. Which strength, by the way, likes tech in both of these guys' profile?
Strategic arranger.
It's actually the learner.
Oh,
Yeah, because learners love that
I don't have that.
pull towards something they don't know. And so tech evolves a lot, and to keep up with tech is really engaging for learners to do. So you'll see them a lot of the time in tech. Okay. Let's go back. Let's grab Denise's profile next. Ooh, that's different. That's different. What do y'all see? You're starting to understand this. What do you see? Oh, we see loads of relationship building. Relationship building, relationship building, relationship building. So number 1, what does she need to do? Go build relationships for a living. Number 2, if you're talking to Denise if she happens to be interviewing you, what do you need to focus on? How what you do impacts the relationship, how what you do impacts the people. Because that's all she cares about. Not all you care about. But it's a large portion of what you care about is how the people are being impacted. So number one developer loves growth, loves developing people, loves that incremental growth. You have so much patience, bless you, right? You're just like, let me just help you grow. Let me lock arms with you and we'll get there. Okay, so great coach. Then we have individualization, which we just talked about. This is the great team manager. So now we have coach and great team manager, okay? And I want to show you this. There's a bit in here when you put your strengths in here. By the way, that's a lot of relationship building all at the top. Can you guys see that? Blue? There's a little drop down in here, and you can go, you know, am I a good coach? Am I a good team manager? And you can see right there at the top, that dark blue at the top says, yes, you're absolutely well suited to do this. You at least have the natural abilities to do it. We don't know if you've tapped into them. We don't know if you have the skill there, but it's saying you really should consider moving into coaching, teaching, mentoring. Okay? Empathy. What's empathy? Do you want to just tell us what empathy is? My empathy is really low.
I mean, putting yourself in somebody else's shoes, like really trying to understand from their perspective, not only from your own.
Do you feel what they feel?
Oh, totally. Yeah, it's almost crippling sometimes, especially in HR when you have to deal with very difficult circumstances
Yes.
sometimes.
Yes, because you care, right? Your
do.
heart bleeds for that person.
Yeah.
And you say, if I was in your shoes and I was going through this, I would need this and this and this and that. Okay. She also has connectedness, which means that she can connect with all walks of life. This also tells me, by the way, that you need an extremely diverse environment because of both your individualization and connectedness. You need a global team. You need to work with other cultures, people that are unique, people that are just really diverse. You're really good there, but you're also engaged and interested there. There's another strength that doesn't do that. There's one that like really, really resonates with people that are like them. Does anyone know which one that is? It's relator. Right? Because relators relate. They relate with someone that has achiever. They relate with someone that has learner. They relate. So they're more comfortable with people that are more like them than people that are really different than them. Okay? And then you got strategic right here, right? So the strategic development, the strategic individualization and team building, the strategic empathy and the strategic connectedness. One more thing on connectedness, by the way, because I kind of stopped short on there. It's not just about connecting with humans, it's also connecting things in the mind. So to me, it's very strategic too. It connects and it sees if this lever is pulled, there's a ripple effect, and it sees that very naturally. And it's looking across the world. So like that, you know, hurricane that just hit Florida, you're thinking about, oh, how does that impact the economy? How does that impact these other states? How does that impact all these people? And you actually care about the whole world because we are all one, we are all connected. Usually with someone like this, the competitiveness is low because the connectedness is high. So if we just make that assumption and go look, we go see where's her competition, it's 28. So you're not gonna think about I win, you lose. It just doesn't even cross your mind. So you don't want a competitive environment. You don't want a sales team, for example, like where you're trying to win and beat other people. That's not motivating to you. A more collaborative environment is more motivating to you, okay? And we can actually see on her work zones too, she is just built for leadership and people management, okay? Now, I just said something that some of you just, I heard it go off when I said it. If you don't have strengths like this, can you be a leader? I work with a lot of leaders. She's the only one with strengths like this. Why? Well, I was actually kind of going more towards the data. It's like, we're all 1 in 33 million. So every leader I work with is 1 in 33 million. So they're all different. So some lead with execution and get in the trenches and work alongside you. Some lead with relationship building. Some lead with influence. Some lead with the strategic thinking that you're referring to. They're all different. And in fact, they all have to lead differently in order to be successful. That's why it's so important to embrace your own strengths, put yourself in an environment that needs those strengths, and learn how to leverage your strengths in that environment, and you'll just do really well. So think about it this way. Is there an area that you would just shudder? Like Lion King, right? Okay. That you would just shudder if you had to lead it? Yes or no? What is it? Be vulnerable. What would you hate to lead?
Finance and accounting.
HR. Okay? You weren't meant to lead there. That's not your gift. That's not what you were put here to do. But is there an area you would love to lead? Then maybe that's the area you should look into. Because that means you have a calling there, that you feel confident there. And even if you're not there, or it's a really long way away, it's a North Star, everything you do should be leading up towards that if that's what you really want to do. It's not about can you do it, it's about how you get there, what you need to do to get there. If you don't know what it is, you probably haven't had enough experiences in different things to really know, where you want to be. You got to go try things out. You got to be a little more experimental. Yes? Ooh, I can't hear her at all, sorry.
You want this one?
Hi, I'm Karen Solomon. It's an interesting balance between what you're really good at and what's going to get you to a leadership position. Because the road to where you might want to be to do what you're really good at might require some different skill sets just based on the context of the environment that you're in and, what's valued or what's noticed.
The path to where you want to go, you have to re-evolve yourself over and over and over and over and over. Exactly. There's no way you can get here by staying here. There's no way you can get here by thinking the same things that you've been thinking while doing this. There's no way. That's why if we want to get here or over, it doesn't even have to be up, it can be over, we have to surround ourselves by people that know how to get there. What do you know? What has happened to you? What do you think, And it has to be different perspectives because we also have to figure out how we're going to get there. It might not be the same way that everybody else got there. So it's complicated, but yeah, you can never just stay where you are and expect to go where you need to go. That's why this is so hard, right? You were thrown into this and all of a sudden you have to change and you didn't initiate the change. So I challenge you to go home today and say, what if I had initiated this change? If I had initiated this and I had quit and I had chosen to be here, I would be excited about my next move. I would be excited about where I'm going and what I'm doing. So how do I frame it that way so I can go out there and win the world? The only reason that people struggle in this situation is because they feel that victim mentality. I didn't choose it. I'm here. I don't want to be here. This sucks. I don't like it. I don't want to learn these new things, whatever it is. If you could actually embrace it and just love every minute of it, you will land much faster.
Question
Yeah.
here.
So I'm going to piggyback a little bit because I like her question a lot.
Sorry, was it a question? I thought it was a statement.
I learn from everything, so I take it as a question. How do you look at organization? Okay, so part of her point is she wants to be part of an organization that values a lot of different perspectives. And we see some organizations that get very channeled, siloed into certain personality types, into certain strength types. What is a way to kind of look at it as an organization as a whole and say, I see that organization is purely executors and I'm not going to fit well into that organization, or that organization is purely relationship building, I won't fit well, or that organization has everything and I'm going to, whatever my skill set is will be a complement to the greater skill set. How do you kind of evaluate an organization as a whole that you want to join?
Yeah, I'm thinking two things here. 'Cause, I mean, we can evaluate an organization by talking to a lot of people there. So we can go make some connections and have some conversations to really understand, especially if we get into the leadership level, because we know whatever's going on leadership levels is being, flooded down. The way that culture is created in a company is when you look at the organization and you say, I need to do this to be successful here. So if I need to lie to be successful, I'm going to lie here. If I need to be a high performer to be successful here, then I'm going to be a high performer. If I need to be a high executor to be successful here, then I'm going to do that. If I need to be strategic, then I'm going to do that. So then you get, you might get a political environment, or you might get a high execution environment. When I was at Sabre, it was a high analytical environment. You had to be so analytical to be successful there. It was unbelievable, right? It was just like analysis paralysis sometimes. So one, that's how I can kind of like define it. But two, I have to look at whether I want to contribute to that, I want to be in that, and I want to do that, because I'm not changing the whole culture or organization unless I'm a change management consultant brought in to change everything. So I really have to go, okay, what is it? Define it, and then just say, is this really what I want to be a part of? Is this where I'm going to be the most successful based on my beliefs and my values and what I intend to do at a workplace? Does that make sense? That's right. That's right. And you can sit on the earnings calls too sometimes, right? It's a public company and you can listen and hear what they're talking about and what they value at a leadership level, because all of that's going to be, you can hear how they talk about people, about customers, and how they approach things. But really it's, talking to different people around the company to really understand. But you're exactly right. Like at Sabre, it's one company, but when I was on this team working for this manager with this group of people, it was amazing. And then I went over to this guy and I had the worst experience of my life, and I was in the same company. So it comes down to the people that you're working. So usually what I try to get aligned when you guys are in job search and trying to find a new thing is, do you like what you do? Do you like the people you're going to be working with? Because that really matters. And do you really like the leader who you're working for? If you love the leader and you love the people you're working with and you love what you do, it's gold. You don't leave that job. And if you're getting paid what you want to get paid, I mean, if you're, if you go home with a paycheck that works. But if one of those is off, which is usually where we're at, yes? You usually have about two of those. You don't usually get all three. And if you have only one intact, what do? We end up leaving. Right? If two of those are gone, it's not usually a sustainable situation for us.
One more question.
We got another?
So to follow up on that, in a really tactful way, do you have insight into whether by industry, but especially in today's time, what are the strengths that the market is looking for? That's by industry or just in general in new hires?
I don't have the data, but I can tell you by talking to people, there are different cultures across different industries and what they typically value. But I think even with that, we would be making an assumption that we still need to find out company by company, because I assume there's anomalies within those industries. So I think the more important question would be then, how do I figure that out, right? Which company this is, what type of people these are. One of the questions I ask in the interview, if I'm interviewing a bunch of different, like I'm the person being interviewed across the company, is I'll ask every single one of them what they love, what they hate about the organization. I ask them to see what they answer. I see if they go around it. I see, if they say something like, well, I really like to see this improve and we're working on it, that's a cool answer. Versus if they're like, oh, I love this company, it's amazing. And you can tell they're not really answering a question because they have nothing good to say about it, right? Or they want to leave. So yeah, it's all about asking the questions in the interview that kind of gets you the answers, and then asking to be interviewed by more people. If you're only getting kind of a view, say, hey, I know I'm going to be working a lot with this team over here. Can I interview with someone over there as well? Because if I'm going to have to partner with someone over here, I want to see who that partner is going to be. If I have to tightly partner with them. And then you can get a little bit more of a perspective. But I think the best thing to do is just go find people. If you don't know how to do that, please ask. I'll show you how to find people afterward really easily to then connect with them and talk to them that are within the company. I think that's going to get a whole line of people. Maybe I should show it at the end. Okay. So obviously you should work with people, going back to this. All right. What does Denise have to be aware of, conscientious of?
Getting so wrapped up in people that don't.
What, Pete?
I was going to say, you're getting so wrapped up in the people issues that you don't see the strategic issues.
Okay, so if that's the case, what do I need to do about that? If I'm always focused on people and not necessarily, I know she's focused on strategy because that's number 5. But let's say, execution's a bit lower, right? So let's say I'm not great and I'm not a great executor and I don't enjoy that. And every time I'm assigned something to execute, I kind of struggle and I procrastinate and I wake up in the morning and go, oh, that has to get done. What do I do about that? Yes, hire somebody, partner with them, partner with another department, find somebody who loves to execute and say, hey, I'll do this for you if you do this for me, and partner up. Now you're a strong team because you're handling all the relationship stuff that the executor wants nothing to do with, and they get to operate while you handle the people side. It's a win-win partnership.
What about finding somebody that's been at that company for a while and asking them how they do get certain things done? Do they enjoy getting certain things done? That kind of thing. I'm sorry, I'm a recruiter.
It's great, right? Find a subject matter expert in that particular area and learn from them. And if you can learn some tips and tricks from them, then maybe you can actually, at least get by with the execution that you need to get by with. So if I look at the bottom here, I'm going, okay, focus, discipline, context, deliberative, consistency. So if I go back to my group, I'm looking for people with those particular strengths. I don't think, we do have consistency here. Let's go to the consistency, right? So I look at the consistency people on my team and I go, let's go to Roshonda. Roshonda has this she's got a top number 6 right here, consistency. So then I can go to her and say, okay, how do I build this consistent process and scale it, and how do I, in your case, it's the policies, right, for HR, because you're like, someone else needs to create all these policies that are going to apply to everyone because you're an individualizer. So you're going to customize, individualize, and make sure everybody has preferential treatment, where the consistency comes in and says, no, we got to treat everybody fairly. Everybody has to have equal opportunity. And so that's a really good partner for individualizing and consistency. By the way, I just want you guys to know, I actually look at data on this. So if I go to individualization, let's go to consistency. I haven't looked at it this way. Let me go to individualization. Hold the phone. Let's go back to Denise with individualization. So what this tells us, when individualization is a top 5 strength, it is most likely paired with strategic. It is least likely paired with consistency, significance, includer. So people who have this rarely have this other thing down here. And if you have something down here in the bottom, it's rare, it's unique, it differentiates you, you need to leverage it, and you're also going to have to explain it. Because people aren't going to understand it because it's rare and it doesn't make sense in our brains. We never see it. So for you to have this and this is going to be funky. Yeah.
So let's say you work with someone who have individualization as their top, is very strong. Honestly, you feel like that's all there is with that person. And you have a very strong self-assurance. How do you make it work with them? 'Cause you have two people who have very
She-
strong.
You have no
Their own.
influence whatsoever in your mind, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's like, how do I get them to do what I need them to do?
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
So you have to remember it's not about you. I have to understand what they care about, and I have to come at it that way. So anytime I'm speaking with an individualization person, okay, let me show you what I do. Before my one-on-one, I go over to this little helpful thing, and I read their words. These are the words that engage their brain. And I say, let me use all these words when I talk to them, number one. Let me focus on these things and talk about the reason why we're doing these things is to help these things. Because if I position it as everything I need to happen is for this purpose here, they hear it because that's what they care about. And if I don't hit on that, I'm missing the mark. It's me not knowing how to communicate to them in their language. So you're not getting away from the way they think. By the way you said that makes me think your individualization is low. Because you're like, this is exhausting. I don't care about this. This doesn't matter. So to you as an individual, it doesn't matter. But as a team, with her and you, it could be so powerful because now you aren't missing this. And if she understands what you're bringing to the table, embraces it, respects it, and leverages it, now she's not missing this. And as a team, you could be so strong. And actually, as an individualizer, she wants to understand you. She wants to understand your self-assurance. She wants to know how to work with it, what you prefer. And so if you bring your strengths to the table, her individualization automatically cares about how to work with you so that you are most productive and motivated. She cares about that with all the people. Sorry, I say she. Is it a he or a she? It's a he. I'm so sorry. He will actually care about that. So I think you guys just need to sit down and go through this together. And then you've got to know how to position things in a way that is going to resonate over here. And I think he's going to care about how to interact in a customized way that works for you. Mm-hmm.
One more.
So are you saying that you have conflict with introverts? Yes, me. Yeah. I love y'all, but.
I'm just now realizing the reason I have been successful is because I try to figure out what is it that people like to do and put them with that because they'll do it.
So are you assuming that everyone's going to be successful doing what you do?
No, I'm just trying to figure out how to deal with my strength that also conflicts with my introvert part.
Oh, your introvert part.
Yes.
So you don't conflict with other introverts. You are in conflict with the fact that you need some alone time.
Exactly. That is one of my 5 strengths, individualization, and
Yes.
I recognize it, but it conflicts with me being an introvert.
Right. So let's go back to Rashonda, since that's where we were here for a minute. Look at this. Pete, this is good for you. I don't know why.
I got 48,000 steps
I don't
already.
know why
Go
you're
ahead.
stomping around. It's good for you. So Rashonda is introverted, meaning you really like some time to yourself. You get re-energized. You get to think. You get to get things done. You don't have to worry about all of this. Does that mean that she doesn't like people? How often does she like people? 30% of the time, 29% to be exact. Is that true for you? You said it is true because
when my kids were at home, I did get up at 5 a.m. for that alone time for studying. I'm a learner because I'm in IT. So I did all of that in the morning before everybody got up. At work, I stayed an extra hour or two after everyone left to wrap up.
So she likes people, but she needs some time too. So it's all about the distribution of time. How much time are you with people? How much time are you alone? It doesn't matter what you are. It matters if you are honoring and respecting yourself to give yourself the time you need to maximize your own strengths. Are you choosing a job that puts you in front of people all day long just because you like people? That's bad if you need some alone time. Are you choosing a job that has you behind the scenes in an office by yourself when you need to be out and about to have some energy? That's bad. So we all have to look at our distribution and say, and I shape my life around this, by the way. I go, this is what I ultimately want. I want this distribution of this distribution of this. So if I set it up this way, then this is what, this is how I'm going to be at my best, and I'm going to give to you all what I have to give at my best. If I'm in front of people, if I was doing this all day long, it would be exhausting for me. I like doing this. I like teaching. I like facilitating, but there's I draw the line as well. And if I do it too much, I'm exhausted. Right? So I have to just be really conscientious of where am I at my best and try to get that distribution across the week, right most of the time, so that I have energy and I, can work till midnight every night. Okay.
So one more question. Here, Cindy has a question, and then we'll go to break, as long as it's okay with you.
I have one more person, though, I just want to put up on the thing.
Sure.
Is that okay if we do one more?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
What's the question?
And then we'll go to break. Cindy, can your question go after break? Okay.
Oh,
And
okay.
then hopefully you'll be able to stay with us to answer more
we're
questions.
going to do, I'm up again.
Yeah.
Go to break. Okay.
You want to go to break and then?
Take a break. We'll come back. Yeah, I
Okay,
just thought
yeah.
I was done.
All right, you guys. Brandy's going to come back up. She's going to finish what she started, and we're going to ask questions. I don't have to sell her to you guys now. You know she's tremendous.
I'm going to go. Hey, Foster.
So where is John? There is John. John Machinsky, guys, right back there in the back.
Wave your hand, John.
He's coming up here. John is with Computer Minds. If you guys want to talk about how you can get certifications, different things like that, his company does that. And you want to connect with him. Now, John, tell us how to spell your last name again.
Yeah, my name is John Machinsky. The last name is MATCZYNSKI. And if you're anything like my wife, she'll take the Mickey Mouse song and she'll MICKEYMOU. That's how she learned how to spell my last name. She put it to that tune. So, but I'm the director of admissions at Computer Minds. We provide certification training for IT and project management. And we actually offer these at no cost because we have a partnership with the Texas Workforce Commission. If you're in your unemployed state, you can go to your local workforce office and apply for a program called WIOA. And if you qualify for WIOA, then there is a grant there that will actually pay for your certifications. I've been working with WIOA for 12 years. I know their qualification requirements. So if you're interested in IT or project management, come see me in the back and I can walk you through what that process would look like.
Perfect.
I have
John's
a question,
gonna tell
John.
us
Since
something.
it's
You got a question?
since it's the beginning of a new fiscal year, are
Yes.
there funds available?
Yeah, the workforce funding resets October 1st.
Right.
So Tarrant County has a workforce board, Dallas County has a workforce board, and then all of the surrounding counties around Dallas and Tarrant, they have a workforce board as well. All their funding resets October 1st, but I'll be honest, this year, the workforce didn't run out of money. None of the boards ran out of money. If a workforce board told you, hey, we were low on funds, it's just the way that we go about getting access to the funds. But this year, the workforce did not run out of money, which is kind of uncommon. They usually do run out of money. But yeah, October 1st, all the funding resets. And it's not like a little bit of money. Each of these workforce boards get millions upon millions of dollars to be able to fund training. So if you're unemployed, you're paying taxes, right? You're part of these programs already. So you have time right now. Take advantage of it and jump down that process.
Question.
Sure.
Okay. Hey, my name's David Rapp, and I've been coming around these things for a while now, but I wanted to let you know about this program. Back in COVID times, you could get this WAIO. I applied for it. It was $12,500 worth of training. Took me 8 weeks. I got 5 certifications. Phenomenal. If you are into changing, if you want to learn more about IT, if you want to learn things like ITIL or Six Sigma or Lean Sigma or PMP or any of those things, those nice acronyms you can have after your name, that's the place to go for the low cost of nothing. All you have to do is attend and pass. It's phenomenal.
Thank you, David.
Yeah. Guys, this network has got a lot of things going on in there. Some things you guys never even thought about. I want to throw one more thing at you guys. There was a guy at the beginning of the meeting, he had to go to work. His name is Bob Ernst, ERNST. Bob is with the Edward Jones group. Now, guys, if you're in administration or sales or something like that, you guys might want to check out Edward Jones, and Bob Ernst is going to be your connection. If you see something, call me. I will connect you with Bob Ernst. And since I was pressed for time at the beginning of the meeting, Bob is a member of the church here. He is a member of the family. And I always like to bring him up because he has helped a lot of people, guys. Out of this group right here, we're 15 years old now. He's helped a lot of people find opportunities at Edward Jones. You guys never would even thought there would have been an opportunity. Now, Edward Jones, they don't do what I want to do. You never know, guys. That's why John and I, Trevor, Mark, you hear us talking all the time about keeping the human element going. If we get together, we get a little bit more out of it than on Zoom. I'm not knocking Zoom. I like Zoom.
Thank you. Is this better than Zoom? Thank you. You betcha.
Thanks, John. John's my boss, both of them, actually. Okay, so where'd Brandy go? There she is right there. So, Brandy, we were covering something right before we went to break. If you don't mind, let's get back into it. And then somebody had a question that we were going to re-examine.
If you have a question, we'll try to get the mic to you so everybody can hear it. And this is being recorded, so the question you ask and the answer you get may be helpful to somebody who views it on YouTube after the fact. And stand up and give your name and then ask your question.
Yeah, your name and what you guys are doing. This is a networking group, right?
Yeah.
You might want to tell what it is you're looking for briefly. Okay, where's the lady that did she leave? I don't see the lady that had the
She's
question.
gone.
Okay, and she took her question with her then. So we'll just start back up with Brandy. We'll let Brandy bring something up and then we will just go with that.
Okay.
All right.
Am I on?
You are on.
Yeah. Okay. So I got this question through the break. It was unclear how the Gallup Clifton Strengths Assessment works and then how my site works. We're two separate entities. Okay. The Gallup Clifton Strengths is the assessment itself. And then if you go to www.strengthology.org, there's a career seeker package. It's a year-long package. It's $12, okay? So I tried to make it like accessible. You can put your strengths in there. You'll get all these insights that we're talking about today for yourself. So I want to show you what insights you get when you are getting the career seeker stuff. You get the energy slide that we talked about. You get those graphs, job requirements that you could consider. I actually went and researched job requirements that are related to strengths and put them in here so you could see if you see these things that should potentially resonate with you. It has that strength language piece that we put in here. It has a career action plan, things to really think about what you need to be doing when you're on the job from a strengths perspective, not from a skills perspective. There are career considerations in here. And the way I did this research was I asked people what they love to do when they had these particular strengths. And then I just continue to build this up as I learn about what people love to do with those particular strengths. There's also the different work environments that you should consider, like what turns my strengths on, what turns my strengths off, as well as what kind of companies would be a great cultural fit, like what do those attributes look like. There's even interview tips, like because I have this strength and I'm doing this interview, then maybe I should consider doing these things to be at my best in the interview. And then there's that, what's your greatest strength, greatest weakness question answered in here. So what's cool about this is it's customized to your strengths for each one of you to just kind of get some, spark some thought around, if this is going to be helpful to you during the transition time. So does that make sense? You go get the assessment from Gallup, type in Gallup 34 Clifton Strengths Assessment, pulls it up. You take the assessment. By the way, it's a $60 assessment for Gallup. And then bring them over to this www.strengthology.org, which you can then upload and get all these insights for. Is that
Brandy?
Is that clear now?
Yeah, I have a quick question for you
Yeah,
back
Pete.
here. If I just wanted to do the $20 for the 5 strengths, can I still use your site?
Yeah, you can use the top 5 on the site. You have to have at least 5. But you just miss out on some of the insights, that are in here when you don't have the full 34.
Another question over here.
I just bought the book from Amazon, Strength Finders, and it was $20.99, and it comes with the assessment.
And it's 5 strengths. It gives you 5 strengths.
It only gets 5. Okay, thank
Yep.
you.
And if you have the 5 and you want to upgrade, then it's another, $40 or $50 to apply the upgrade to your account. So you have to log into Gallup, and then you have to click upgrade and pay for the upgrade, and then it will just reveal the rest of your strengths. Because when you took it originally and got top 5, it actually tested you on everything. It just didn't show you everything. Okay? And if you go to www.strengthology.org and scroll down, I have all the assessments listed right there too. So you can just find them easily that way. Okay? Okay, so let's go back to what we were talking about. So let's look at this, Roshana. You said you wanted lots of insights. So the first thing I notice is how high your delivery is with achiever responsibility. When you have achiever responsibility, you're motivated in 2 ways to get things over the finish line, which is the list, checking things off the list, and you're telling somebody, hey, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it on time. I'm going to do it with high quality, and I feel responsible to meet my commitment that I made to you. This also tells me that you do not work well with irresponsible people. Drives you batty. Okay? I mean, you literally are just like eye twitch if that's happening. So you really have to be conscientious about not working with people that just aren't responsible, because it's not going to go well. So you have to surround yourself with responsible people, whether that's on your own team or all over the organization. Okay? It also tells me here that you're highly organized. You're a little structured organized and a little flexible organized. Is that true for you? Gotcha. So what I heard her say is that she's conscientious about working with people and getting them arranged, but she has a high focus on efficiency within that. And that's coming from the arranger. The arrangers love to streamline and organize in order to create efficiencies, but you also understand that it's an arrangement of the strategy, tasks, and people to get there. Does that seem? Okay. Got it. So she's developing a roadmap for efficiencies, but she also said quality assurance. I know responsibility has a little bit of that quality assurance, but it makes me want to see her top 10 to see if she's got a focus on quality assurance somewhere in here. So I lift that up and I'm like, oh, it doesn't pop up. So it's kind of coming from somewhere else, probably the responsibility that she cares about the quality assurance. Okay. Let's see what else we should look at here with yours. So let's look at the full, because what we see is this, she comes at execution 1, 2, 3, 4 different ways in her top 10. But then there's also like, the only reason she executes is to build relationships with that relator on the top. Does the order matter? Why does the order matter? It's the priority. So if she has to choose, am I going to have my list and check things off the list, or am I going to spend time with this human and build the relationship? She will choose the relationship. I'm the opposite, by the way. I have to be very careful about that, right? I have achiever number 1. It feels so good to achieve. Okay, so it actually really matters. When you see someone's strengths, let's say you're working with someone either on your team that's working for you, or you're working with them, or someone in a different department, can you look at their strengths, understand them, and then define them that way without talking to them? Exactly. It's helpful, gives us a place to start, but it may not be accurate until we actually ask them, how does this work for you? What does this look like? What do you like? What do you not like? Do you enjoy this? Do you enjoy that? Because you guys can all think about, like, let's take project management. People look at my strengths and they tell me, you're a great project manager. I'm like, yep, but I hate it. I don't like corralling cats. Actually, I have 5 cats. Do y'all know that?
Yes.
I don't have to corral them, though. They're highly independent. So, and no, I didn't go try to get 5 cats. Okay, I ended up with 5 cats. You know how it is. Yeah. So you can't define somebody on their strengths. You can get an idea and you can open up communication to have the conversation to learn more about them. And because you're focusing on strengths, they're going to be more apt to actually talk to you about what they're good at and what they love and, you know, what they want to do with you or for you, et cetera, et cetera. So again, I can look at this and make some assumptions, but I really have to ask how that plays out. I might like to program manage one thing and not something else. And so those specifics we have to actually ask about so that we don't get it wrong when we're working with people. Okay. How are you at influence? That's a long silence.
That is.
This is a great answer. So she's basically saying, I'm going to take your answer and twist it up in a more general approach. But what she's saying is, okay, she's going to have to think about how she influences. It's not natural necessarily. So how do we take her strengths and position her to be able to have influence, even though influence isn't necessarily the natural thought here, right? Because the natural thought for influencers is what? See if you guys were listening in the beginning. What's the natural thought for influencers? How do I get people to do something? How do I get people to do this? How do I get people to do that? She's not necessarily thinking about it. You're thinking about, how do I get this done? How do I get this done? How do I get this done? Okay. How do I build this relationship? What's the strategic plan? Okay. So in order for her to have influence, she has to go, all right, how am I going to have influence? I could build the relationship and build trust so that when I say something, I'm actually influencing this person to take action. I could put myself in a teaching position because I'm a learner. I love to learn. I love to teach. I love to consult. So if people are coming to me for consulting or teaching, then maybe I can have influence and share my thoughts that way as well. Maybe I need to show them how to get it done and deliver so that they see me as an expert person in this arena. And by building that trust on the execution side, maybe they'll want to come to me and listen to me, and I can have influence that way because I've shown them this is how you run the department. This is how you get results. You see what I'm saying? So again, you need to not say, I have these strengths, so I can do this only. I don't have these strengths, so I can't do this. It's not about that. It's about how are you going to get done what you need to get done, what you know you need to get done through your own strengths. At the same time, being aware of how that's impacting people over here that also have strengths and personalities that it's going to, collide with. Another example would be my brother. He was giving me advice on how I needed to negotiate my internet situation. And I'm like, dude, if I come out the gate doing what you're doing, they're going to look at me and be like, what are you doing? Like, this is awkward. Like, throwing your weight around. I'm like, that's just not going to work for me. So I said, what if I do what you're saying to do, but I do it this way? He's like, well, it's effective, but not as effective. I'm like, yeah, but if I do it your way, it's really not effective. So I kind of have to do this. And in the end, what did I do? What should I have done in the first place? I said, do you mind calling them? Would you be happy to handle this? Oh, yeah. He got me free stuff for 6 months. My internet was turned on immediately. I said, what did you do? He goes, oh, I threatened to, put a bunch of PR on him. I was like, okay, whatever. Like, everybody has their way of doing things and getting things done. But I mean, his command went full blown to protect his sister to get this done because she needs internet because she has a business. So let's go. What are we doing here today? So I just partnered with him. He loved it. He won. I got my internet back on. It was good stuff. Okay. So I could have slogged through it and practiced and done all that, or I just grabbed the negotiator and said, hey, go negotiate. How much do I owe you? No.
Your influence is great because for Pete and I, you are our subject matter expert for Strength Finders. And look at what has happened since we've known you. We've known you a long time, but we haven't known you since childhood or nothing.
Yeah, but again, I developed my business around my strengths. So I said, if I want to have influence, I'm going to need to be able to build relationships. I'm going to need to be able to execute, and I'm going to need to be able to teach. And if I do those things, then I might be able to have some influence and help people. So again, it was looking at what I bring to the table and leveraging that and basically creating what I needed to create to. And it's taken a long time. My brother is a sales guy. He has influence right away. I have to build the relationships to be able to do that. But over time, it builds, right?
And it's solid over time.
So, yeah. So, okay. So if we look at the bottom here, right, we need a woo.
That's me.
What's a woo? What's a woo? Winning others over. Okay? They love to go to these conferences and these big networking events, and they love to win you over and win you over and win you over and win you over. And once they've won you over, they go to the next person. And once they win you over, they go to the next person. So they win you over, they go to the next person. Absolutely love it. Thrive on it. Win you over to my services, win you over to my products, win you over to myself. Which role is this? Sales. All day long. Love sales. So you've got to partner with a salesperson, right? So if we go back to our nifty list here and we look for woo, we have one, but we have one. We have a woo on our team. Who is it? Christine. It's Christine. Let's take a look at Christine. Oh, these are fun. These are different. It's different, yeah? We just seen people with all different strengths. Okay. Who has futuristic? Does anybody have futuristic in here? You guys know it well? What do you do with your futuristic? Huh? Yes, you think about the future. You create that future strategy. Now, the way that futuristic does it is they dream. They imagine in color what the future looks like. And they think about it 20 years in the future. Futuristic technology is interesting, because of how it impacts the future. So we go, well, what kind of futuristic things do you care about? You care about the future of responsibility, the future of winning others over, the future of teams and culture, and the future of consistency, fairness, balance, and systems and processes. So you got a huge mix here. So futuristic, a lot of the time, get involved in product management, product development, creating a product. They're very entrepreneurial because In the product, you get to envision the future. You get to take all of these resources and drive it towards that future. Do you guys think that do you think visionaries, futuristic people are inspiring? Do you find them inspiring? I mean, yeah, they inspire us to drive towards that future. You can see it falls into that big picture zone. It's not the strategic plan to get there, it's the dream. Now, you could have futuristic and strategic, okay? But if you're futuristic, you're more creative, more dreamy. Now, responsibility right away is client servicing. Love clients. I take a client, make a commitment, I deliver to you on time with high quality. Or the future. Now we're mixing them, okay? Woo is coming in and selling that future, and it's selling those services. So you have the ability to sell the vision and the product and the services to everybody because you can inspire us and because you can deliver as well. This is pretty interesting strengths because I'm already hearing like, gosh, as an entrepreneur, you could do everything. Like you have the vision, you can meet the client expectations, and you can do sales, which is pretty great. Then she has individualization. We've talked a lot about this one today. It's all about customization. It's really good at sales as well, especially if you have Woo. Those are now all of a sudden kind of intensified on the sales side. And it's all about, working with teams of people and partnerships and understanding the psychology of people and then bringing the teams together to be most productive. The last one is consistency. What did we say before about individualization and consistency? This is so cool. Let me show you. Let's see, let's go back. You guys rarely get to see this, and you get to see it today. So if I have individualization as a top strength, I almost never see consistency with it. 3% of the world has this, okay? Just extremely rare to have something as so individualized, customized, preferential with the thinking of fairness, balance, consistency, and systems, policies, for example. So really, really cool combination. So then we go, oh, so how does that work? She's consistently individualizing and she's individualizing consistency. That's interesting. We'd probably have to ask her about that. Does that play out in your world in any specific way that you want to share? In what way?
Hello, everyone. Christine, by the way.
This is Christine.
I believe in fairness, and I would say that equity versus equality is a really key term because everyone deserves the same chance, but they have to come from a level playing field.
Got it. So, but how people come to that, you're willing to work with them in different ways.
Yes.
Got it.
You have to know each individual person to understand how to create the level playing field.
Very interesting. Yeah. Okay. Let's look at all 34. Oh, we don't have all 34. Sorry. I'm used to having 34. That's what you're going to get if you get top 5, by the way. Okay. Okay. See if there's anything else. Are there any questions, first of all, that came up during the break? Yeah.
Hang on.
Yeah.
I took mine back in like 2010. Should I go ahead and take it over? Should I take it over?
Well, my answer is no. So when you are between the ages of 5 and 25, and you're forming neural pathways in your brain, you have genetics at play. So you have ones that are going to be, you're sort of predisposed to. Then you have experiences, okay? So let's say you're in an academic environment and you're learning and learning and learning. You're going to start developing neural pathways in a learning way. Maybe you're exposed to entrepreneurship really early, then you start developing neural pathways there. what happens is, as you're developing these neural pathways, when you're using them, there's this sort of plushy sheath that goes around the neural pathways that brings all the nutrients and blood flow to that, and it starts building them. So in your brain, you're building highways if you're using them, and the ones that are not being used become dormant. Following me? So when we look from 1 to 34, you're seeing highways at the top and the dormant ones at the bottom. Doesn't mean they're not there. They're just really hard to reach. You get in that, it's like, oh, this is so not fun for me to do all of this. They're done forming at 25. Are you over 25? Okay. So they don't really change after that. You kind of are who you are. The way, and what I mean by that, again, it doesn't mean you don't mature, it doesn't mean you don't evolve, it doesn't mean you don't learn, but from a neural pathway perspective, it's gonna be really rare that the strengths actually change much. Now, they may shift in your top 10, they may shift around a little bit, but your top 10 are your top 10. It's so hard to get away from those top 10. You're not gonna have something down, like if you're not woo, you're not gonna have woo come up to the top 5. It just doesn't happen. It's kind of like saying, you know, I was never good at math and now all of a sudden at 30 years old, I'm gonna be great at math. Just, that doesn't really happen to most of us. Can it change? Yes. When does this change drastically? When you have a car accident and everything changes, you could actually have huge changes. Ladies, when you have a baby, things change a lot. Your hormones change, your physiologically change, like there's all kinds of things that change. So if you have big traumatic events to you, then there could be a change. Then I would encourage you to just retake it and make sure that nothing has substantially changed. People who have really unexpected deaths that are traumatic, sometimes that can kind of shift the focus or change, you know, things like that. Trauma changes it too. So you may be born genetically one way and you have these particular strengths, but then you're getting all of this rewiring for something that's going on. And so you get, you know, this patterning going on in the brain. If you played football in high school and you were knocking your head against the helmet, you're also damaging parts of your brain that may not fully function like they used to. And, you know, so some of those things can kind of change too if you have some of those things. Doing meth will change it. Just letting you know, just in case your brain gets really holy, you know. So yeah. I don't think you have to retake it. You can. I've taken it 3 times. I get the same results every time, but I have. Yes, you're all taking advice from a meth addict right now.
This is your brain on drugs.
Yeah. But you know, I've been clean for 30 years and I've been rebuilding. So. Just kidding. Can we rebuild the brain? We can. Yeah, it just takes a long time and it takes a lot of repetition and it takes a lot of nutrients and a lot of therapy and a lot of stuff, okay, to retrain the neural pathways in the brain. You have to be very dedicated to retrain the brain. But you can. What else? What else would be helpful to your job search? I lead another group that helps people in transition. So if you have other questions, not just about how to apply the strengths, you want to apply the strengths to your resume, to your LinkedIn, you want to apply it to your communications, you want to push these types of things out there so that ripple effect goes out and then it comes back in, that boomerang effect, it comes back in with the things that, you know, people want what you have to give, basically.
So how would you apply your strengths during an interview?
Yeah, so during the interview, I'm thinking about how they're going to receive it based on who they are. So that's one way I'm actually applying strengths. This whole concept is I'm listening to what they're looking for and what they need. And I'm actually asking questions pretty upfront in order to establish what they care about, what they're looking for, what their perspective is. And if I can gauge that, then I'm going to be helping them understand my strengths and what I bring to the table and my skills and what I bring to the table and my value but I'm saying it in a way that they can actually understand it. And I'm also listening, like I'll ask questions in an interview, like what would differentiate someone from another person? And they tell me. And then what do I say next? You know, I don't say it exactly the way they say it, but I say it in a way that I think they need to hear it. Right? What's the other question I ask a lot of the time to gauge all of that? It'll come to me in a minute. Did you have another question? Did someone else have a question?
I'd like to suggest, Brandy, that you talk about the executive group. You know, when you get through, talk about the executive group that you lead.
Yeah, so I lead a group called Executives in Transition here in the Metroplex. And it's for people who have had director, senior director positions, VP, senior VP, and C-suite. You need to have had those in the last 5 years-ish or so, you know, or working with executives in your role. The group is mainly for people who have teams or who have led teams or are looking for those types of positions. And we meet every other week on Mondays. And we have, you know, a speaker and a workshop, and then we have people that are coming in and helping the executives, because at the executive level, the job search is so different. Your jobs aren't online. So if your jobs aren't online, how do you find your jobs? And it's just a different way to do job search. So, you know, we cater towards the audience in that group. Yes.
Thank you. It has been a really pleasure, and I learned a lot. My question is about engaging with the interviewer in case of what question to ask to understand about his strengths and then to understand how to speak to him.
Your question is to...
what question to ask the interviewer to understand more about his strengths and then to speak to these strengths?
Yeah, so I might say something like, you know, oh, this was it. What, in your opinion, if I were to get an excellent review at the end of the year, what does that look like for you? That tells me what they care about for this role. And if I ask the next person I'm interviewing with the same question, I'll get a different answer. So I'll be able to understand what each person thinks this person needs to be doing in order for them to give them an A grade at the end of the year. It also tells them that I'm interested in doing that by asking that question. Does that make sense?
Yes.
What other questions have you guys asked that have gotten you an understanding of the interviewer as you're talking to them? What'd you say? Oh, well, that's culture question, right? Asking them what they like about their position so you can gauge whether they actually like it or not. Yeah.
That one back here, Brandy.
If you're looking for a promotion, what are the 5 things I can do to help you get that promotion?
Yeah, that's interesting. If you're saying that to the person, if they're looking to get a promotion, interesting. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So last place I was at, actually, I did this. They had this in front of them, but I didn't have it in front of me. So they're asking me questions based on my results that they have in front of them, but I don't have it. So how would you navigate that not having this information in front of you?
Yeah. So for example, you can also do just a comparison. So you can say, you know, what do you find most important, relationships or the process? And then you kind of say, well, do you care more about the process or like my ability to influence or influence? You know, you can just kind of ask them. I mean, we could get it quartered at least, right, to know what their ranking is on 1, 2, 3, 4. So I can ask questions. I don't want to ask them. The worst questions to ask guys are the ones that say something like, "Are you a strategic thinker?" Why is that a bad question? Who says no to that? Almost no one. The really honest person says no, right? Almost everybody else is going to say, of course I'm a strategic thinker, because we all know what they need to hear, right? We all know the answer they're looking for. Unless the rare case they're not looking for a strategic thinker. So that's not a good question. A question is to ask a question that gets you an understanding of the person on the other side. So you could ask a comparative question, for example. What's another one? Do you guys have any other ones? I'm trying to think of another one I ask. Yeah, do you have one? What kind of leader they are and how they motivate their people. So that's a very people-centric, and we just get to see a little bit into their world, right? Like how do you think it's best to motivate? Now you can kind of when you listen, go, are they giving me the methodology? This is how I do it, or are they like for real telling you? Because some of them are going to spit out like, and no offense to anybody who is this, okay? But when I work with data science type people, they're going to give me the, here's the thing I follow, and it's just this. I don't really know when they give me that if it's actually how they managed, if they managed to that, or if they just gave me the, like the method, the factual methodology proven thing that works. Does that make sense? Yeah. What other, yeah. Oh, I love that. If I had to come in here and solve 3 problems in the next 6 months, what are they? That's amazing. Because I'm going, who are you? Can you solve these for me? Right? If you ask me that question, I'm interviewing you, be like, can you solve these? Tell me about how you'd solve them. You brought it up. And I would absolutely love to understand if that person could actually solve them for me. That's right.
Go ahead. You've made some really good points about interview, which the vast majority of people forget is an interview is 2 ways.
Yes.
You need to come in prepared with a written set of questions, and your job is to ask a whole bunch of those during the interview. One of the things I really like that you just said is basically, I've already been hired. You've given me a performance review. What did I do? If you can ask that at the beginning of the interview and they answer that, they've tailored what they want you to tell them and how you should help weave that interview answer at the end of tell me about yourself. Ask that kind of question to figure out what they're looking for. Makes the interview so much easier.
Peter, you got a question?
Peter Watson over here. A comment more than a question. There's Crystal Knows.
Yeah.
I shall post it on my LinkedIn for everybody to give me a hit. You can apply that to people's LinkedIn profile, and it'll give you some idea of them.
Yeah, the thing about Krista knows is you get 5 free, then after that it's kind of expensive on a monthly basis. So, but it is a great tool as well.
Crystal Knows, you guys. Check it out. Google it up. Look at what it is. Look at what it does. It'll give you some ideas just studying it. Okay, John's saying we're out of time. Okay. Brandy, thank you very much.
Very welcome.